Well, government has permitted citizens to jog, walk or even cycle with no time restrictions under level 3 of the nationwide lockdown. SilverFit is an exercise and wellness program which is based at Wits University and specifically designed for individuals over the age of 60. Now, the program believes under lockdown, older adults need to keep moving more than ever. So to talk to us more about the benefits of physical activity, we're now joined by Hannah Rath, the founder of SilverFit. Hannah, thank you so much for your time and welcome. I mean, you, through SilverFit, obviously target older citizens. You say it's important for them now more than ever to keep fit. Tell us why.
Absolutely. I mean, exercise is such an important tool for promoting health and wellness. But now more than ever, specifically older adults, really need to understand what exercise does to the body, especially in a time like this COVID-19 virus, where we understand what inactivity and pre-existing conditions do to the body in itself. So it's really, really important for older adults to understand the effect of exercise on immunity, functioning of the heart, the lungs. It's also important to talk about mental health and what exercise does in terms of coping with those stresses. So there's a lot to talk about when it comes to exercise. And yeah, thank you for inviting me.
No, absolutely. And I think that's quite an important conversation because we know that any, citizens of South Africa, or even around the world that are older than 60, or at least 60 and older, are part of the most vulnerable groups during COVID-19. So it's important at this time for them to keep the immune system strong, to keep fit and healthy, but to also stay precautious around this time. So what then kind of exercises can, a 6-year-old or older do if they want to, of course, ensure that they stay fit?
So the types of exercise we recommend are moderate-based exercise. Now, exercise can be anything from taking a walk, dancing, or doing structured routine classes, which also are part of the program we offer. Also, just touching on something you said earlier, older adults are very vulnerable in this COVID-19 pandemic. We don't want to scare older adults, but I also want to highlight the fact that inactivity levels amongst our older adult populations in South Africa are frighteningly low. So we're seeing only 1 in 10 older adults doing enough and the right type of exercise, which immediately places our older adult population at further risk, because we understand that exercise has a really important role in reducing the risk of many, many non-communicable diseases.
Yeah, and we don't want to alarm them, obviously, but at the same time, I've been reading, Hannah, that an 80-something-year-old elderly citizen had just recovered from COVID-19, and they actually attributed their recovery to the exercise program and exercising.
Yes, absolutely. It was a very, very scary time. One of our members was diagnosed quite a few weeks ago with COVID-19, and it was frightening to understand how vulnerable and isolated she felt. She wasn't even able to see her family or friends, and she needed to survive this on her own. It was a very, very scary time. But I take my hat off to her, and I take my hat off to many, many South Africans, older South Africans and South Africans alike, who are trying to fight this disease on their own. She exercised. She's one of our routine exercisers. She didn't start off very fit, and in fact, she's always felt that she could get fitter. And her boundaries have just been lifted by the progress that she's made and the quality of life changes. And as I said, it was a very, very scary time, but she's pulled through, and she understands that the control she took over her body, the responsibility that she took over her body in ensuring that she gave herself the best platform to cope with battling with this kind of disease. She's really proud of herself, and so are we. So I want to just encourage South Africans to understand what exercise does to the immune system. We don't know that much in terms of what exercise does with COVID-19, but we do know there's been many other studies that have looked at viral implications and immune responses and what exercise does to that. So when an older adult exercises, it's an immediate response. You're mobilizing millions of immune cells, you're improving inflammation, and the blood circulation, the blood flow, and the strength of the muscles and the joints all then work together and optimize your body. We also understand, just to go back to what we were speaking about earlier, the comorbidities associated with COVID-19, things like diabetes and hypertension. In South Africa, those rates are remarkably high. So many of our population are battling with those comorbidities. So even though an older adult might have those kind of chronic conditions, exercising just puts you at so much of an advantage when you've got control over them.
And this is the kind of messaging that needs to be encouraged more often, Hannah, that exercise is important. Throughout this time, you've heard about the vaccine trials. We're hearing about progress being made there, but also just taking matters into your own hands and just keeping fit is equally important. So thank you so much for joining us this very morning, Hannah Rath, the founder of Silverfit at Wits University.